So this is negative exponents, which is 3-7 in our textbook. So the basic rule is that whenever you have a negative exponent, like right there, all it is it's a fraction. I imagine the little negative kind of floating up and becoming a fraction bar and putting a 1 over it. But all it's saying is that that negative exponent really means it's a fraction. Okay, so here's another example. H to the negative third is really just 1 over h to the third. Because if you think about it, an exponent is telling you how many times to multiply that base number. So a negative is a little confusing because how do you multiply something negative times? So really all it's telling you is to put it down in the denominator and multiply that number of times. Okay, so here's another one. 3 to the negative 9 is really just 1 over 3 to the 9th. 5 to the negative second is 1 over 5 to the second, and 5 to the second is 25. Okay, so that's the rule. Whenever you have a negative exponent, really it means it's a fraction. You notice that none of them are actually negative answers. So it doesn't mean my answer is negative. It means my answer is a fraction. All right, so let's practice this. All right, so first let's kind of understand why. So at one point we talked about our exponent rules where 6 to the 8th power, keeps jumping on me, 6 to the 8th power divided by 6 to the 3rd power. The shortcut is to subtract. I'm going to erase that because it's not really lining up very well. But all that would be is 6 to the 5th power because 8 minus 3 is 5. The reason is because 6 to the 8th divided by 6 to the 3rd is really like a fraction with 8 sixes on the top and 3 sixes on the bottom. So these sixes can cancel out to ones, these sixes and these sixes, leaving us with 5 sixes in the numerator, which is just 6 to the 5th. Okay, same for this next example. We got 4 to the 2nd divided by 4 to the 5th, which is 4 to the negative 3rd. Well, again, let's see it done out the long way. So we have 4 to the 2nd over 4 to the 5th, which is just 4 times 4 over 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So as we're canceling out, removing factors of 1, all we're left with is 3 fours in the denominator. Well, what's left in the numerator? A 1. So this 4 to the negative 3rd is the same thing as 1 over 4 to the 3rd, where 4 to the 3rd is in that denominator. Okay? So that's why it is the way it is. That's why when you get a negative exponent, it actually means it's a fraction. It means that base and exponent are really just in the denominator of your fraction. All right, so looking at these, let's practice simplifying these. So we got negative 2 all to the negative 5th. So that is just the same thing. Imagine that little negative sign floating up and becoming a 1 over negative 2 to the 5th. Sorry, my 5 looks a little funky. Okay? You could leave it like that, or if you want to do it all the way out, if you have to do it out to get rid of the exponents, all this is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be a negative answer altogether. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Times 2 is 16. Times 2 is 32. So negative 1 over 32 is my final answer. All of these things are equivalent. Negative 2 to the negative 5th is actually talking about negative 1 to the 32nd, or 1 over 32. All right, so try the second one on your own, and then I'll give you the answer. All right, so 10 to the negative 3rd is really just 1 over 10 to the 3rd. If you're going to do it out so that the exponent was completely gone out, all that is 1 over, and 10s are easy because the little exponent just tells you how many zeros to have. So it'd be 1 over 1,000. Since it's a 3 exponent, that's why I have 3 zeros. 10s are the easy ones to do. So again, key feature is that the negative exponent doesn't make your answer negative. It makes your answer a fraction. Your answer can be a negative if your base was a negative. You see how this base was a negative, so it made my answer a negative? Where this base was a positive, so my answer was a positive, okay? But the exponent is not what's making this answer negative. It's what's making this answer a fraction. All right, so go ahead and try these two on your own, and then we'll go over the answers. Try to do them all the way out to the point where there are no exponents left. All right, so looking at this first one, we can use the shortcut of adding up our exponents. Negative 23 plus positive 23 is just 0. And remember, 6 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power, is just 1. All right, next one. We have negative 7. And we have to the negative 1 to the negative 1. So all together, that's to the negative second, which is the same thing as 1 over negative 7 to the second. And then if I did negative 7 to the second, that's negative 7 times negative 7, which is positive 49. So my answer to this one is positive 1 over 49. All right, try these ones on your own, then we'll go over the answers. Again, try and get rid of all the exponents in your final answer. All right, looking at this first one, so we have 9. We have negative 5, and negative 1 is negative 6. Plus 7 is just 1. 9 to the first is just 9. So that one didn't even end up being a negative exponent, just positive 9. Next one, we have negative 8. Negative 2 plus 0 is still just negative 2. So since it's a negative exponent, I'm going to have a fraction, 1 over negative 8 to the second, which is the same thing as 1 over 64, because we have negative 8 times negative 8, which is 64. All right, try these ones on your own. You're not going to be able to get rid of the exponents since they're variables, but try and simplify it down as much as you can. All right, so looking at this first one, x to the negative 5th, really that's just 1 over x to the 5th. And there's nothing really else I can do to that because I don't know what x is, so I'm going to leave it just like that. The next one, I'm going to combine them, so that's a to the negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5th. So again, I got another negative 5th, so it's 1 over a to the 5th. And I'm going to leave it just like that. All right, again, go ahead and try and combine these exponents and simplify it down as much as you can. And then we'll go over the correct answers. All right, so looking at these, we have a v, and we have 4 plus negative 12 plus a positive 3. So that's positive 7 altogether plus negative 12, which is another negative 5 again. Not doing this on purpose. So a negative 5, remember it means it's a fraction, so we got 1 over v to the 5th. And that's my final answer. The second one, we got b, and 7 plus negative 7 is just 0. Now b to the 0, I actually do know what that is. It doesn't matter what b is, because anything to the 0 power is always 1. So my answer to this one is 1. That's really the only time you would be able to figure out what the final answer is when you have a variable, as if it was to the 0 power. All right, so that's it on negative exponents.